The Dahomey Amazons, fearless female warriors. The Dahomey Amazons, fearless female warriors. The Dahomey Amazons, fearless women warriors who struck fear into the hearts of European colonizers. But behind the glorified image of powerful female soldiers lies a deeper story of class struggle, imperialism, and the contradictions of a society shaped by both resistance and exploitation. Today, we will be talking about the Dahomey Amazons, but before we proceed, kindly click on the subscribe button to follow Untold Africa. Thanks. The Dahomey Amazons, or Nomaiten, meaning our mothers, were an elite all-female military unit of the Kingdom of Dahomey in present-day Benin. They existed from the 17th to the 19th century and played a key role in the kingdom's expansion and defense. While mainstream narratives often highlight their bravery, a deeper look reveals the material conditions that gave rise to their existence. The Kingdom of Dahomey was built on a slave-based economy, driven by its participation in the transatlantic slave trade. This created a ruling elite that accumulated wealth through warfare and slave raiding. The Amazons were both a tool of expansion and a product of necessity. As warfare intensified and male warriors dwindled, women were conscripted to fill the ranks. Their rise wasn't a feminist revolution, it was a structural response to economic demands. While the Dahomey Amazons challenged Western stereotypes of passive African women, we must ask, were they truly liberated? Though they held high military status, they served an absolute monarchy that maintained power through violence and slavery. Their allegiance was not to the oppressed but to the ruling class. Their role mirrors historical patterns of oppressed groups being integrated into oppressive systems, much like workers who become agents of capital, policing their own class. The Amazons fought fiercely against French colonization in the 1890s, displaying undeniable courage. Yet their resistance was ultimately limited by the economic foundations of their society. Dahomey's economy depended on the slave trade, which had been disrupted by European bans on slavery. The kingdom sought to maintain its power, but without structural change, its resistance was doomed. The Amazons weren't fighting for socialism, they were fighting to preserve a monarchy tied to exploitative practices. A legendary battle between two powerful African states, the Dahomey Amazons against the mighty Oyo Empire. But beyond the stories of bravery and warfare lies a deeper struggle, one of economic survival, class conflict, and imperial domination. In the 18th century, West Africa was a battleground of expanding kingdoms and economic interests. The Kingdom of Dahomey, a centralized, militarized state, sought to break free from the dominance of the Oyo Empire, which exerted control through tribute demands and military superiority. The Dahomey Amazons, an elite all-female military unit, became key players in this resistance. But what was driving this conflict? The answer lies in economic structures and the material conditions of the time. History is shaped by economic forces. The Oyo Empire's power was built on controlling trade networks, especially the slave trade with European merchants. Dahomey, seeking autonomy, wanted to establish its own trade networks and end its tributary status. This struggle was not just about independence, it was about who controlled the wealth generated from human labor. The ruling classes of both kingdoms, kings, nobles, and merchants, fought for dominance, while the common people paid the price. The Dahomey Amazons are often portrayed as symbols of female empowerment, but a closer analysis reveals a more complex reality. While they held military status, they ultimately served the monarchy, which relied on expansionist warfare and the slave trade for economic prosperity. Much like proletarian soldiers in capitalist wars, they fought bravely but were ultimately instruments of elite interest. Their struggle, though remarkable, was bound by the limitations of the class structure they existed within. The war between Dahomey and Oyo saw brutal combat, with the Amazons engaging in fierce resistance. However, the larger economic power of the Oyo Empire, backed by its cavalry and trade wealth, eventually subdued Dahomey, forcing it back into vassalage. This war was not just a military defeat, it was a reinforcement of an exploitative system where power was dictated by control over trade, labor, and resources. So what can we learn from the Dahomey Amazons? First, history is complex. Female warriors don't automatically represent progress if they serve an oppressive system. Second, true liberation requires dismantling exploitative economic structures. The Amazons fought bravely, but their struggle was tied to a system that ultimately maintained class oppression. Today, as we analyze modern struggles, we must always ask, does this fight serve the people, or does it serve the ruling class? The Dahomey Amazons inspire us with their strength, but history teaches us to look beyond heroism. If we truly seek liberation, we must go beyond symbols and fight for a world free from class exploitation. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments. Until next time, keep questioning, keep resisting, and keep fighting for a better world.